said. So, Keith, any questions? Please put your hand up and we'll get Keith running across the room.
Right, one over here. Straight to the microphone if you can, please.
Yeah, good evening everybody. I'm very caught on this. Can you hear me now? Yeah. I'm very caught on this. Very much 50-50 as to which way I'll vote. But I'm going to ask a question anyway. And it's this. Can you give any examples? Can you give me any examples, give us any examples, as to where this model, where else this model is, where there are any other examples of this model, and also whether that model is successful?
Okay, just so that people can hear the question if you didn't quite hear it to start with. Basically, the gentleman here is asking if the model that we're suggesting has been proven anywhere else. The simple answer, sir, there is that we, over the last 6 months, have developed this model based on the benefactors, based on input from the Supporters Trust Chairman and Vice Chairman, and based on our business experiences. We sort of flew in the face of previous models to a certain extent, and we're quite proud of that, in the sense that we feel as though we have a model that can work. No, there probably isn't another example of it at another football club. There are many, many other models at other football clubs which we have briefly looked at. But one thing that we didn't want to do is get pigeonholed into a model that didn't suit what we were trying to do and didn't suit what we had available to us. So we'd like to think in 5 years' time that people might say the Hereford FC model works. Does that answer your question?
If I could just add a quick supplementary to that. Those of you who know me know that I work in Wolverhampton. I travel from Herefordshire to Wolverhampton to work every day. How's that that's dedication for you. When Wolverhampton Wanderers were in League One, their average attendance was 22,000. When we were in League One, our average attendance was 20,000 less. We have to try and create, as our Articles of Association agreement say, we have to create a sustainable model. We've discussed it with Supporters Direct. We've looked at their 100% fan ownership model. It just doesn't work. We can't even fill our trust board at every election with volunteers to do the work. So what we have to do is to cut our cloth and work as a consortium to try and make it viable. And that's what we believe we've done. Last night I had a long conversation with Supporters Direct, and they believe that the model that we've created is right for us. It's not their model, but it's the right model for us, for where we are. So I second what John says. We're hoping that our model will be used elsewhere. I'll do supplementaries later if that's okay, because we want to make sure that as many people in the room who want to say something have the chance to do that. So Keith, I've lost you.
I was a member of Gillingham Football Supporters Trust, and just to let you know that our rules were, we were only maximum 49% of any membership, and we did 51% ring fencing. As you say, we must have only one company, because the chairman created another company for selling shirts. And what he did, and that's what, to try and get support, he got all new style shirts, shorts, socks, so that everybody bought at the start of the season all new, and we paid at the end of the month what we'd received. We also supported dinners, bars, teas, and we also helped support away trips by letting them go with the team. Now, obviously we had the situation where, because they were the 4th division, they had to travel the night before. So I paid £250 to go on a coach in the hotel and go to the director's box at the end. And that helped put money into the club. the other thing that they tried to do was try to promote, a lot, as you say, sponsorship, but they'd spent little money on the club. And I just hope that the situation was that they kept the owners with the supporters trust, and by that they kept the support. Once they lost the ownership to one member, they lost the supporters trust.
Okay, thanks for that. A good explanation of the Gillingham model. In a way, I'm quite glad that we haven't got that model, because I think our model is a lot simpler and it's a lot easier to understand. It's also a lot clearer, and I think the complications that they had at Gillingham won't occur with us. Keep it simple and it will work, and I think that's the principle we worked on. Anyway, next question. I've lost Keith again.
Hi there. As a company director myself, I feel the structure in the boardroom is important. The 4+3 directors, I feel the fourth one should be independent. Now, the proposal what I put together is to have a person like Jesse Norman, who's independent, a supporter, a businessman, and he will keep the boardroom in check in going forward. I don't know if you consider that, haven't you? The other point is about loans, company loans.
Can we just address one question at a time,
yeah,
because we want to get round as many people in the room, if that's okay.
I'm not sure. I listened to what you said. I'm not sure what the actual question was.
For the fourth director to be independent, because if you've got a 4+3 split.
So yes. So I understood that. Are you saying why don't we do that?
Exactly.
Because it's not our model. So we feel that, as I said earlier, I just want to check my notes actually. We're saying for the protection of the original benefactors, to allow the John Hale Group to go forward, to allow all supporters to feel some protection. We've put lots of protection in place. At the end of the day, the boardroom are going to have to make decisions. We feel that a lot of those will be made unanimously, but some there will need to be, for want of a better word, a casting vote. And that's the model we've gone with.
Again, just a supplementary to that, with not the last regime, but the previous regime in Hereford United 2 years ago, we had meetings with the then board, and we were looking for a position on the board, with one position on the board and a voice for the Hereford United Supporters Trust. Now, we've got 3 permanent seats on the board. We've got a great opportunity for 50-50 shares, none of which was available to us in the past. So in terms of where we are, bearing in mind what the aims and objectives of the trust are, we've moved it forward an awful lot. The deal we've got at the moment, I see, is a very good deal. So that's what we've got to try and consider. How much fan involvement have we got now compared to what we had 2 years ago? And the answer is considerable, I think. Next question. One over there, Keith. Oh, he's there.
Sorry, is it on?
The question I've got, obviously we've got to take the fact that there's going to be a 4-3 split on the board. We've just got to take that. The Articles of Association really, and all the protections that they give to HUST and to supporters, don't mean anything if they can just be changed at any point by the board. Can we receive some sort of guarantee that in the Articles of Association that are being created by the corporate lawyer, that there would be some sort of 2/3 vote or a 5 out of 7 vote on any changes to those Articles of Association? It may well have already been spoken about, but it's a point I wanted to raise.
Okay, it's a very valid question, and there's a very simple answer that the Articles of Association cannot be changed by directors. They can only be changed by shareholders.
Hi there. This is a question for the HUST board. The HUST board, how would they make the transition to the club board? Obviously, the chairman would then become the vice chairman, but how would the other two then be? Would it go to a membership vote, or? Thank you.
Good question. Those of you, I hope everybody heard that. The question was to do with the HUST board and how do we create the directors that will move forward to the football board. There are 3 places there for us to occupy, and that's the process that we've adopted. Currently, 2 of those places have been filled with Martin and myself as chairman and vice chairman of the Supporters Trust. We will move on to the football board and become 2 people within 7 who direct or control that football board. So that's our contribution to that. We have 1 vacancy, which is the community director, and it has to be somebody that is on the HUST board, and we haven't identified quite who that's going to be yet. So what the process that we will adopt is that we will seek within HUST, which is a group of people here, that we will then nominate somebody to the football board who then they will agree, that the football board agree to who that is, or they won't, and they'll say we want somebody different. But we have the same input into the directors that are going to come from the other side. So it's an equitable partnership in terms of how we do that. But the process has been thought about. There's a sort of a John Hale group, there's a HUST group, and the football is controlled by a board of 7 directors made up of representatives from both of those groups. I think that answers your question.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question myself? Speaking to the mic, it helps. Can I ask you a question about the original money that I understand has been gifted to Hereford Football Club from people who don't necessarily wish to be known, but I think it's pretty clear who they may or may not be. Are they buying shares with that money, or is it purely a gift and they will then have to buy shares separately, or will that go towards their 24% that they may wish to own in fullness of time?
We want to make this absolutely clear so there is no confusion that there are 3 people intending to put £50,000 in for return of shares. They are not pure donations. They will be buying shares and they will then own 10% each of the football club.
And they are not the directors that we're being told?
No. The 4 directors that we speak of on the John Hale group, to start with, none of whom will be buying shares. The 3 benefactors are not sitting on the board. Does that answer the question?
A question about future funding. Once you're a shareholder, what's to stop you selling your shares to another without recourse to the board? And this also runs on to the prospect of the future company looking for loans and what issues may be available at that stage, or what might be pertinent to the corporation at that point.
Going back to the articles again, I think this is the answer. Or I'm trying to answer the question I think you're asking. All share issues and all share transfers will require board approval. Oh, sorry, what was the second question?
About loans.
Yeah, I was considering raising loans. If you look at Portsmouth and other clubs, okay, they're on a different scale to what we are at the moment. We're only looking at the initial startup. But once the club is up and running, the income potential is only those coming through the door or those buying shirts, etc., etc. Assuming we want to pay, I don't know, 50,000 for a new striker or whoever it might be. Yes, I know he's dreaming at the moment. But yeah, well, I know who he is. I've spotted him. No, but the point is, if there was a need to raise money, is there the availability, 1, to change the share issue and raise money that way again, or would it be going out to private companies for loans or individuals for loans?
Yes, yes and yes, but properly managed. I think the initial nominal capital is going to be £7 million, of which £500,000 will be looked to be issued. unless there are real unforeseen circumstances in the first 3 years during HUST's option to take up to 50%, it isn't envisaged that the share capital in issue will be raised by about 500,000. Within the sustainable budget that we're hoping for, we're not intending to go out and take commercial loans. We're trying to safeguard the club and its future so that things that have happened in the past with the previous club don't happen again. But commercially driven, I couldn't rule anything out, but it would certainly be done properly, board approval, shareholders obviously have got all their normal rights.
Are there any more questions? Any more?
Gentlemen,
sorry.
First of all, may I congratulate you all and your colleagues for all the hard work and obviously long hours you put into this scheme and plan and model, as you call it. And I think most people welcome it with open arms. But there's one thing that troubles me a bit this evening, and I keep hearing this one word, benefactor. Now, under the previous, now discredited regime, one thing that HUST and others all came to say was they need to be more open and transparent who they are, what they're doing, who are the directors, who are the shareholders. Now, you've got 3 very wealthy shareholders, or not shareholders, benefactors, 50 grand a piece, and they're very kind people. But I think if you're going to be transparent and open, then you must tell us who these people are.
I'm going to ask Phil to respond to this, and the reason I'm going to ask Phil to respond to this is because his position in this group is governance director, so it's relevant that Phil should answer this.
Yet another hospital pass from John Hale. Obviously this is a question, a point that we've mulled over, we've thought about, etc, etc. I'll just go back to our frequently asked questions and then we'll take it from there. The benefactors, all lifelong Hereford United fans and successful business people. The board of the football club are aware who the benefactors are. They're putting in startup capital, but do not wish to be named publicly. This is simply because they do not wish to be courted for further funding, nor do they wish to undermine the board in any way. They will be taking shareholdings. The details of shareholders will be held at Companies House in the normal way.
So that will be available to the public anyway. So what's the problem? It's in the public domain.
They will be shareholders. They'll be buying shares with the £50,000 each. That makes £150,000.
So where's the transparency then?
It's a matter of public record. People.
Right, next question. Quiet please, next question.
Too pessimistic. Have we got a plan B if we don't secure the Take 2 next year?
I'll be honest, we have talked about what happens, but we haven't talked in any great detail about what might happen. It would be a huge dent in our proposal, and I would have to say it would be very difficult to come back from that.
Have we got any inklings of these other people?
We We have no idea. We've been given no inkling. We haven't asked the question. We haven't asked the question. To be honest, yeah, I mean, there's no smoke screen from us at all because, yeah, but we have no idea and we have no wish to know.
Okay, I've got one question and then one suggestion. The first question is, have the Hereford FC Supporters Trust taken any independent legal advice on the deal that's been offered to them, or do you plan to take advice? And the second suggestion is, could the Articles of Association be published before the public vote next week, so people can make an informed choice on the offer that's being made to them?
As a supporters trust, we have the backing of Supporters Direct and their legal advice, so any agreement we take, we will put through their legal team. They've got a very big firm in Manchester that does all their work. They've done a lot of work with us already over various bits and pieces. So any agreement that we go through will be put through them before we do anything. In terms of publishing the Articles of Association before the vote, I think in timescales, I don't think that's practical. It's a long document and it's going to take a lot of work, and I think I'll pass over to Phil at this point.
Craig spoke to me on this point in the interval. Since then I've thought a little bit about it, and your question then just prompted me to think about it again. The Articles of Association, as I said to you, and as you're fully aware, I know, will be a long legal piece of work brought out by a corporate lawyer. The model that we put in front of you will form the basis of those articles. The articles won't be ready before this vote. The articles, though, will go to the HUST board and to Hereford FC board for approval before being taken on. Is that correct? I beg your pardon?
Before March the 1st.
I'm not sure that they'll be ready in full by then, no.
I think you have to have them ready.